Hello, hello, hello. How you doing out there? This is Mable, your princess of poetry and praise. And I am so thankful you're joining us today. All of my family and friends and buddies and colleagues and comrades. Hey, we're just glad you're here and glad that you're telling more and more of your friends to check us out on cable television. We are here for you, you, and you. And we want you to check us out on cable TV, but also check us out on YouTube. Yes, yes, yes. Conversations with Mable, brought to you by Amen Communications. We love it. We love it. We love talking with you, interacting with you, just dialoguing with you, and hearing feedback from you, and you, and just seeing you out when we're out shopping and out about in the grocery store, at the pharmacy, out in the streets somewhere, seeing folks and people telling us good feedback, telling us what they think, offering some criticism, telling us what we need to talk about, giving us some extra points, telling us, hey, had you thought about doing this? Hey, had you thought about doing that? And we want you to keep those ideas coming, keep them flowing. In fact, that's why this time of the year, I thought it would be appropriate to talk about this. Many, many, many years ago, once upon a time, Mable was 16 years old. And Mable was trying to figure out, what am I going to wear to the junior senior prom? That was a big deal, even back in the day, old school. The junior senior prom was huge. My folks, of course, had to approve of my date and know everything about him and his parents and his grandparents and what church he went to and what kind of grades he had. And they had a whole long list of things they wanted to find out before anybody came over to pick you up. And they wanted to know how we were going to get there, whose car was he going to be driving, did his mom and daddy say it was okay, how long we were going to stay out, where were we going after the junior senior prom, what was going to happen as far as all of our friends getting together, eating together, having a good time at the after party, what time we all had to be back in. And of course, I had to decide, just what am I going to wear? I mean, was it going to be something where I was going to be showing a lot and all cut up and bright? And hey, this would fit real, real tight. I can't believe this size, extra small. I got this on sale. I hope I can still get in it. But it stretches, y'all. It stretches. Or, knowing my mom and them, they probably would have said, wear something shiny, baby, and wear something with some sleeves. Well, this didn't have sleeves, but at least it had a jacket to go with it, and it was kind of shimmering and shining. I wonder if my mama and grandmother would have approved of something like this. Who knows? But it was bright. We always wanted to get something bright. And what were you going to put in your hair? Maybe something like this, or maybe those big gardenias, or some flowers on the side, the way Billie Holiday used to do her hair. Y'all remember Billie Holiday? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's some real music back then. And she wore some nice stuff in her hair. But I always like to add a little glimmer, a little shine, maybe a gardenia, maybe some kind of flower. Who knows? But all of the plans and the ideas and the things that we had thought about for the junior senior prom were kind of we just let that go, blow in the wind. Because also during that time, we were having some bad inclement weather, but there were many marches and protests and demonstrations as the sanitation workers, many of who were the parents of some of my classmates and my friends and folks who stayed in the neighborhood, These folks were fighting and were demonstrating for equal rights and equal pay and equal benefits because people were not treating them right. The city was not doing them right, and they needed to take care of their family just like the folks who were the bosses. And the irony behind all of this is that as a little kid growing up, I can remember distinctly we would be in all of these parades, the Cotton Makers Jubilee, the Cotton Carnival parades, the Clean Up, Fix Up, Paint Up parade. That's the one. Can you believe in the Clean Up, Fix Up, Paint Up parade? At one time, Memphis was the cleanest city in America. And we were just overjoyed to keep Memphis the cleanest city in America. But check this out. Memphis is one of the beautiful, beautiful cities in America, and it's clean, and it has great water, and everything is looking pretty down by the riverside next to the Mississippi River. But guess what, y'all? Here's the zinger. We didn't want to pay the folks who were responsible for keeping Memphis clean and beautiful. This whole idea of keep the city green and beautiful and clean, but who were the people picking up the garbage and emptying those garbage cans and those incinerators? Who were the people driving around through all our neighborhoods, the rich, the poor, all sides of town, keeping Memphis clean? The sanitation workers. And yet we didn't want to pay them? Well, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and many of his comrades came to Memphis, and they said, we're going to help these folks, and we're going to stand with them as we all hold those signs and say, I am a man. That's what those men were holding, signs that said, I am a man. They wanted people to understand these were men with families. They had to take care of them. They needed benefits. They needed more pay. They needed somebody to understand that they were equal to the same folks who were getting all of that, who were sitting in the offices with suits and ties on. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Memphis. Picture, April 3rd, 1968, Mason Temple, Church of God in Christ, right around the corner, across the street on Crump Street, right near my old high school, Booker T. Washington High School, which is still there today, thriving. But think about it. Dr. King made his last monumental, greatest speech of all. And God and the Holy Ghost put that sermon in his heart, mind, and soul as he let all of us know, I may not get there with you, but I've been to the mountaintop. I've been to the mountaintop. Is that not our Moses of our day speaking? I've been to the mountaintop, and he could see that there was going to be a better day. He could see a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. A change gonna come by the river. A change gonna come for America. A change gonna come for Black boys and Black girls. A change gonna come for disenfranchisement. And the change did come. You all know what happened on the next day, April 4th, 1968, Lorraine Motel, downtown Memphis, not too far from my mama and stepdaddy's house. We were sitting there eating dinner, watching television, when everything was interrupted, and the newscast said that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at the Lorraine Motel had been shot. And we all took a long breath and sigh and just started praying praying that God would save him and keep the king alive, and keep the king alive, and keep the king alive. But God has already written out what's going to happen. And the king went to heaven, but the dream is still alive. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. went to heaven April 4th, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee. So instead of us thinking about a junior senior prom and all of these extra little shiny festivities and stuff, a whole world changed, and we saw a whole different perspective of what we had been told all our life, what America was like. When we would stand up every morning, from kindergarten on up, and we'd put our little hands over our hearts, and we'd say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I drank the Kool-Aid. I believed all of that because I knew that America was for you and for me and for thou and for thee and for all of us. Because the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and everything that we had learned in civics and in American history and in American literature had taught us. I too am an American. Yes, we had to fight for our rights. Yes, it took us a longer time to be able to vote. Yes, it took us a little time to fight and to go through all kinds of wars and to go through all kinds of picketing and marching and civil rights struggle, but we were making it. It was at a slower pace, but we were making it. And then look what happens. That junior senior prom didn't even seem important anymore to us because the king had gone to heaven. The king had gone to heaven. And so, in one of my books, this one about my childhood growing up in the Foot Homes Housing Project, not too far from the Lorraine Hotel, not too far from Mason Temple. This book, 38126, King's Kids, nobody said we were poor. We didn't know we were poor. We really didn't understand disenfranchisement. Even though there were the colored and the white bathrooms and the colored and the white water fountains, even though we could only go to the zoo and the fair and all those special places only on Thursday, and the circus and the ballet and the symphony, even though we had to sit up way high up in the sky. The blood, what is it? What did we call it? The nosebleed section. But you know what? We kept right on going, climbing all those steps, going way up to the top to watch all those movies. And we paid the same amount as everybody else who was sitting down low, right up front. But my grandmom used to always tell me, oh, these are the good seats, baby. These are good seats. We get to see everything up here. You know how your mom and your daddy and your grandparents and guardians, they were all there to protect us. Because remember, nobody said we were poor. We didn't know that. We didn't realize that. So here is what I wrote in regards to April 4th, 1968 by Mable, your princess of poetry and praise. Remember, I was a teenager when all this happened, and I wrote this a couple of years ago. April 4th, 1968. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his final speech at Mason Temple. Walking from my high school to this Kojic church was quite simple. Many sanitation workers were our neighbors and friends. Can you imagine seeing 1968 through their lens? We lived not too far from the Lorraine Motel. After the April 4th murder, I felt like in a shell. The National Guard took over Memphis and put us on a curfew. Dusk to dawn, indoors, nervous, not knowing what to do. I looked out our front shade and saw Mommy's green Chevy. Parked beside it was a huge army tank. Now you know that was heavy. Martin Luther King Jr.'s guiding principles were based on the Good Book. He integrated America's foundation, and nonviolence from Gandhi he took. King molded philosophical ideas with pure common sense. He denounced violence, terror, mob rule, because it was tense. Yet, Emmett Till, Medgar Evers, and the Birmingham church bomb, vicious, horrific hate and racism left us all numb. Martin Luther King Jr. emerged as drum major for justice and love. His quest, freedom, equality, truth, unity, and peace like a dove. King touched people's hearts and minds with a unified vision and dream. He taught a house divided can't stand. Come together as a team. Agitators provoked with dogs, water hoses, batons, sticks, and a shove. Even with brand new laws, my grandmama said, baby, you can't legislate love. Gluttony and materialism, King spoke against I, mine, me. Unlike jealous King Saul, King encouraged collective us, our, we. King questioned America's unequal economic divide, some living lavishly, others dying on the street side. He journeyed to Memphis with the sanitation workers' strike to help garbage workers stand tall as men in their fight. They organized, protested, marched, and took a stand with big, huge signs proclaiming, I am a man. His cry against the Vietnam War attracted a powerful foe. Still, King continued his stand to study war no more. King sacrificed his life to show how it could be done. The bullet shot the dreamer, but his dream has still won. For the dream has continued to enlighten, inspire, and live. We must now pick up the mantle to care and love and give. King made a difference locally, nationally, round the globe, exemplifying Mother Teresa's kindness with patience like Job. We can't sit like couch potatoes on flowery bed of ease. Too much suffering, COVID, cancer, crack, chronic disease. Let's wake up, sisters and brothers, out of our drunken haze. Love y'all. It's Able Mable. I'm your princess of poetry and praise. This is what I remember, and this is what I wrote regarding April 4th, 1968. And during those protests and during the demonstrations, we would sit on the front porch and just watch everything happen. And we would also pick up on many of the things that they were saying, and we ended up jumping rope and playing hand games to this particular rhyme. It's called The Protesters' Blues, a neighborhood poem during the Memphis sanitation workers' strike. And remember, we jumped rope to this and we played pity pat to this. Listen now, and I got to add a little music, add a little drum beat so I can, make this sound the way it sounded when I was a little girl. Y'all ready? James Brown is coming to town. Broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. We're gonna flip old Memphis upside down. Broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. Black boy, this is the hour. What you gonna yell? Ooh, black power. Broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. Garbage piled all in the street, broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. We're gonna pile it at Henry Loeb's feet, broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. Black boy, this is the hour. What you gonna yell? Ooh, a black power, broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. And what we want you all to know is that, of course, James Brown was one of our big heroes that we heard on the radio all the time. And he was singing, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." And Henry Loeb, that we mentioned in this poem, was the mayor of Memphis. And they were doing absolutely nothing downtown in City Hall. So let me sing it again for you, and then you can understand it even better. Y'all ready? This is the Protesters Blues, our neighborhood poem during the Memphis sanitation workers strike. And this is what we played patty cake to, and we jumped rope to. James Brown is coming to town, broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. We're gonna flip Memphis upside down, broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. Black boy, this is our hour. What you gonna yell? Ooh, a black power, boom, brown, broom, broom, brown. Garbage piled all in the street, broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. We're gonna pile it at Henry Loeb's feet, broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. Black boy, this is the hour. What you gonna yell? Ooh, a black power, broom, brown, broom, broom, brown. And to think back on it, we were playing pity pat, and we were jumping rope and dancing in the streets, in front of the house, on the curb, on the stoop, on the corner, and we were all getting in sync with this whole idea about what was happening to our community and to the strong men who were part of the Memphis Sanitation Workers Group. We were all together singing the same thing, saying the same thing. And just think, here I am, over 70 years old, able to still remember what we were singing back in the day as kids during the demonstration. It got to us. It got in our hearts. And it made us realize we all got to do something. We all got to be a part of this. And so here's a poem that I wrote to maybe motivate you and let you know that the king's dream is still alive. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. needs you, me, all of us to keep the dream alive so all of us can get participating and get working and get to doing what we can do with the talents and the skills that we have, and stop talking about what we're going to do, and stop complaining and stop criticizing and stop doing all this stuff when you're in the barbershop and the beauty shop and saying what needs to be done and giving all kind of great ideas. But the real ideas need to be given to folks so that change can happen. So I wrote No Time to Stew, Time to Do by Mable, your princess of poetry and praise. Let's begin on a local basis. And let's be local. Let that be our start. So what's your passion? What issue usually hits your heart? Think how your gifts, talents, and resources can be used. Participate, launch, do, direct, light a fuse. The ball is in your court. No time to stew. The ball is in your court. It's time to do. Dr. King said to fly, run, walk, crawl. King's plea to move is for us all. Beauty, barbershop, griping and grumbling, wrong groove. Go, get away from apathy, get to activism, get on the move. Why mope, pine, and whine about what should be done? Get a project completed before the setting of the sun. We got to get past apathetic states. We just don't just want to succeed, because we got to start thinking about self, not just self, but how we got to get beyond that narcissistic greed. Did you hear me? We got to stop being apathetic, and we got to want to succeed. We got to start thinking about how we can get away from this narcissistic greed. We got to stop criticizing, dissing, and running folks down. We got to solve problems and mediate, get moving on the ground. We got to ask questions, talk to leaders, get all the facts, follow up, see results, seek ideas, check facts. Wholesome food, clothing, shelter often are not in reach. Survival skills we gotta teach, we gotta preach. So what would Martin Luther King Jr. do right now if he were here today? Maybe map out some nonviolent solutions versus a fight, a shooting, or a fray. Not Monday morning quarterbacking with instant replay, but recruiting soldiers in the army ready to trust and obey. Create, get in the mood. Come on, y'all, let's do. Come on, folks, come on, people. Our future is up to you. The ball is in your court. No time to stew. The ball is in your court. It's time to do. Dr. King said fly, run, walk, crawl. King said to move. It's for us all. Since Dr. King was a pastor, an orator, a preacher, here's what may have lifted his spirits as a teacher. He couldn't let politicians, Gallup polls, and prognosticators direct. His directions from God were his guide and were correct. The master was his editor with an unadulterated message from above. He wrote spiritually with power, promise, prophecy, and love. Motivating thoughts helped King during dangerous days. Like David, he dealt with his adversaries in many, many ways. So let's wake up, my sisters and brothers, out of your drunken days. Love y'all. It's Mable, your princess of poetry and praise. Thank you so much. We appreciate you listening to some poetry and prose from 38126 King's Kids. Nobody said we were poor. And our other book, the first book, is Faith Over Fear. Faith Over Fear, Bishop Charles Harrison Mason and the Church of God in Christ. And what we do is write, we do what God told us to do, write the vision, make it plain, and then by following his vision, God's vision, we've been able to publish and we've been able to produce funds to give scholarship monies to students who are matriculating, trying to get their careers together by getting that piece of paper. So we love you out there. Thank you so much for all you do to help us out. God bless you. Ta-ta.